Hello, this is Dr. R. Lakshmi, Faculty of Mathematics. Today I am here to explain you about recursive definitions and structural induction. Let us first see how the different structures are defined recursively, right? Let me explain in brief the summary of what I am going to teach in this lecture below. First we'll see how the functions can be defined recursively. Then how the sets and structures can also be defined recursively. Then let us see what is a structural induction, followed by generalized induction. Right? When coming to the recursively defined functions, a recursive or an inductive definition of a function. Suppose we want to define a function recursively, we have to complete two steps. First one is the basis step, second one is the recursive step. In the basis step, we specify the value of the function at 0. In the recursive step, we give a rule for finding its value at an integer from its values at smaller integers, right? When the two steps have been completed, we say that the function has been defined recursively. Its recursive definition is completed, right? Sometimes a function f of n can be used to represent the sequence a0, a1 and so on, where an is the nth term. So that f of I equals to ai. Let us consider few definitions of functions and the related examples based on the recursive definition. Suppose f is defined by f of 0 equal to 3, f of n plus 1 equal to 2 into f of n plus 3. Here the function has been defined recursively. F of n plus 1 is given 2 into f of n plus 3. Find the values of f of 1, f of 2, f of 3 and f of 4. Using the given f of n plus 1, we can write f of 1 equal to 2 into f of 0 plus 3, giving the value 9. Similarly, when we calculate f of 2 using the same recursive rule, it is 21, f of 3 equal to 45 and f of 4 is equal to 93. This is one of the models from recursive functions. Another example, let us see. Give a recursive definition of the factorial function. Let us first complete the basis step. Let us specify the initial value of n factorial at 0. We know f of 0, which is 0 factorial, is equal to 1. Right? So the initial value f of 0 equal to 1 is specified. Next, in the recursive step, let us define a rule by which the different factorials can be defined using the previous factorials. Suppose we give the recursive rule f of n plus 1 equal to n plus 1 into f of n. It equals to n plus 1 into n factorial, where f of n is n factorial. Using this, we can have f of 1 equal to 1 factorial, f of 2 is equal to 2 factorial, f of n is equal to n factorial, f of n plus 1, in fact n plus 1 factorial, and so on. So the basic step of the recursively defined factorial function is f of 0 equal to 1 and its inductive rule f of n plus 1 equals to n plus 1 into f of n. Hence, the required factorial function n factorial is defined recursively. Now let us consider the recursive definition of the summation ak for k equal to 0 to n. Let us give the basis step, the first part of the definition. Let us specify initial summation at 0. It is given by sigma ak for k equal to 0 to 0, which is nothing but a naught. According to the recursive step, we should give a recursive rule to define the new elements of the function from its previous elements. Let the second part, the recursive rule, be defined as sigma ak for k equal to 0 to n plus 1 equal to sigma ak for k equal to 0 to n plus a n plus 1. So these two completes. Using this second part, we can define any new summation, right? So this is the completion of the recursive definition of the given infinite sum. Now let us see how the Fibonacci numbers are defined. We have f0, first Fibonacci number is 0, f1 equal to 1, and relating the different elements of the Fibonacci numbers, the relation is defined as fn equal to fn minus 1 plus fn minus 2. The problem, the example here is to find f of f2, f3, f4 and f5. From the given relation, we can have f2 equal to 1, f3 equal to 2, f4 equal to 3 and f5 equal to 5. Right? These numbers are used to model the population growth of rabbits. This was actually used as the application described by Fibonacci, mathematician Fibonacci himself. In the next slide, we use the structural induction of proving the results related to sets, and before that we use the strong induction to prove a result about the Fibonacci numbers. Since the result has been very important, we are proving this result that using the strong induction for the Fibonacci numbers. Question is, the example is to show that whenever n is greater than or equal to 3, fn is greater than alpha power n minus 2, where alpha is 1 plus root 5 by 2. Let P of n be the statement. According to the strong induction, we have two steps to be completed. And before we form the two steps, we should define the function P of n. Here let us suppose the given result is denoted by P of n. Now the first part is to prove that P of 3 and P of 4 are true, because these two are minimum needed to prove the required result in the inductive step. So in the basis step here, we are proving P of 3 and P of 4 both holds true. Let us consider P of 3. It is from the given result, when n is equal to 3, we have a power 3 minus 2, alpha power 3 minus 2 is alpha. But alpha is 1 plus root 5 by 2, which is less than 2, and that 2 is the Fibonacci number equal to f3. So the relation f3 greater than alpha is true, which implies P of 3 is true. Similarly, to prove that P of 4 holds, let us consider n equal to 4 in the inequality given. As a result, we get alpha power 2 is equal to 1 plus root 5 by 2 the whole square, which is 3 plus root 5 by 2, which is less than 3, but 3 is equal to f4. Hence, we are able to say f4 is greater than alpha square, which shows that P of 4 is also true. So we have completed our basis step of the strong induction, that P of 3 and P of 4 both are true corresponding to the given inequality. Now let us try to complete the inductive step. In this step, we assume that P of j holds, that is fj is greater than alpha power j minus 2 for all integers j, with 3 less than or equal to j less than or equal to k, where k is greater than or equal to 4. Here k greater than or equal to 4 is chosen because P of 4 has been already proved in the basis step. Right? Now, assuming P of j holds, we have to show that assuming P of j holds for 3 less than or equal to j less than or equal to k, we have to prove that P of k plus 1 is also holds, will also hold, that is if k plus 1 is greater than alpha power k minus 1. For proving the result P of k plus 1, let us consider alpha power k minus 1. We can write alpha power k minus 1 equal to alpha square into alpha power k minus 3. Because alpha is the solution of x square minus x minus 1 0, we can write alpha square equal to alpha plus 1. So replacing alpha square instead of in the equation considered, we have alpha plus 1 into alpha power k minus 3, which is alpha power k minus 2 plus alpha power k minus 3. But from the assumption, we have already, in the assumption of the inductive step by the inductive hypothesis, we have supposed that fk is greater than alpha power k minus 2 and fk minus 1 is greater than alpha power k minus 3. Now considering the Fibonacci relation and placing these two inequalities, we are able to prove that fk plus 1 is greater than alpha power k plus 1. Hence, the result fk plus 1 is greater than alpha power k minus 1. Hence, the result P of k plus 1 is true. Here ends the second part of the strong induction. So in this example, we have proved the result related to Fibonacci numbers using the strong induction. Right? Now let us consider how the sets and structures can be recursively defined. Similar to the recursive definition of the function, the sets and structures can also be defined recursively. As usual, there are two parts. The basis step specifies an initial collection of elements in the set. The recursive step gives the rule for finding new elements of the set from those already in the set. Right? So these are the two steps to be completed for defining a set recursively or a structure recursively. Sometimes the recursive definition has an exclusion rule, and this rule specifies that the set contains nothing other than those elements specified in the basis step and generated by the applications of rules in the recursive step. Right? And we always assume that the exclusion rule holds even if it is not explicitly mentioned. Even if it is not explicitly mentioned. Now later we develop the form of induction called structural induction to prove the results about recursively defined sets. Now let us consider few examples to define sets and structures recursively. Let us consider the subset of integers S. In the basis step, let us suppose 3 belongs to S. In the recursive step, we give the rule, if S belongs to S and Y belongs to S, then X plus Y belongs to S. Right? So according to this recursive rule, if initially 3 belongs to S, then 3 plus 3 equal to 6 must be in the S. Then again 3 plus 6 equal to 9 must also be in the set S. So like this, the subset of integers S can be defined recursively. Let us see the another example to define set of natural numbers recursively. In the basis step, we specify that 0 belongs to n, the set of natural numbers. In the recursive step, let us define the rule. If n belongs to n, then n plus 1 belongs to n. With this rule, when initially 0 belongs to n, because 0 plus 1 is 1 and 1 plus 1 equal to 2, etc., we can have after 0, 1, 2, 3 and so on, all the other set of natural numbers. Now, let us define one of the basic structures in the computer science engineering subjects, string. Let us define the strings recursively. Suppose that the set sigma star is the set of strings and sigma be the set of alphabets, right? The set sigma star of strings over the alphabet sigma. Let it be defined recursively using the basic step. Let us suppose lambda, the empty string, belongs to sigma star. In the recursive step, we specify a rule. If W is in sigma star and X is in sigma, then WX belongs to sigma star. So based on this rule, we can define any string in the set of strings. As an application to this set of strings, let us consider sigma equal to 0, 1 and strings in sigma star be the set of all bit strings lambda, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, etc. So the sigma and sigma star have been defined in the problem, right? That is the recursive definition has been defined for sigma star, the set of bit strings defined over bits 0, 1. Another example, let us suppose sigma is the set AB. To show that AAB belongs to set of strings sigma star. Since lambda belongs to sigma star and A belongs to sigma, we have A belongs to sigma star. This is by the definition of recursive definition of the string. Now, since A belongs to sigma star and A belongs to sigma, we have AA belongs to sigma star. Continuing, similarly, when AA belongs to sigma star and B belongs to sigma, we can have AAB belongs to sigma star, right? Now, let us consider another example which defines string concatenation, or it is also called string indentation. Two strings can be combined via the operation of concatenation or indentation. Suppose sigma is the set of symbols and sigma star the set of strings. We can define the string indentation of the two strings recursively as the basic step given by, if we take in the basic step, we specify the initial value always. If W belongs to sigma star, then W minus lambda. If W belongs to sigma star, then W dot means W lambda equal to lambda, because lambda is an empty string. In the recursive step, we specify the rule. If W1 belongs to sigma star and W2 belongs to sigma star and X belongs to sigma, then W1 dot W2 X means W1 W2 of X, right? Often we write W1 dot W2 means W1 concatenation W2. When W1 W2 are combined, they can either be written W1 dot W2 or W1 W2. If W1 is ABRA and W2 CA then the concatenation W1 W2 equals to ABRA CA Now let us define the length of a string recursively. In the basis step, we specify that L of W, the length of empty string, is 0. In the recursive step, we specify that the length of the string Wx is length of W plus 1 if W belongs to sigma star and X belongs to sigma, right? Now let us define the well-formed formulae in propositional logic involving values TF, propositional variables, operators from the set, negation, cap, v, conditional, biconditional. Let us specify in the basic step that TF and S, where S is a propositional variable, are the well-formed formulae. So in the basic step, we have specified the initial values, well-formed formulae. In the recursive step, we specify a rule. If E and F are well-formed formulae, then negation E and F, ERF, E conditional F, E biconditional F are well-formed formulae. This is how the well-formed formula in the propositional logic is defined recursively. right? Now let us consider one of the most important applications in the graph theory, and we define it recursively, rooted trees. To define a rooted tree recursively, we specify in the basic step a single vertex R as a rooted tree. In the recursive step, we specify the rule that if T1, T2, Tn are the disjoint rooted trees with the roots R1, R2, so on Rn respectively, then the graph formed by starting with the root R, which is not in any of the specified rooted trees, and adding an edge from R to each of these vertices will also form a rooted tree. Similarly, we can define the full binary trees also according to recursive definition. And to build up a full binary tree, this is the diagram shown here. Now let us consider an example showing induction and recursively defined sets. Show that the set S defined by specifying that tree belongs to S such that if x comma y belongs to S, then x plus y is in S is the set of all positive integers that are multiples of 3. Right? Let us do this by using the structural induction part. Let A be the set of positive integers divisible by 3. To prove that A equal to S, we show that A is a subset of S and S is a subset of A. A is a subset of S because if Pn is the statement that 3n belongs to S, according to basis step, 3 into 1 equals to 3 belongs to S. So, the first part of recursion definition is true. In the inductive step, assuming P of k is true, by the second part of the recursive definition, if 3k belongs to S, then since 3 belongs to S, 3k plus 3 belongs to S. So P of k plus 1 belongs to, so P of k plus 1 is true. So we say that A is contained in S. Similarly, it can be proved that S is contained in A by proving the corresponding bases and the inductive steps. We used mathematical induction to prove the results above a recursively defined set. Next, we study a more direct form of induction for proving results about recursively defined sets, which is called structural induction. According to structural induction, to prove a property of elements of a recursively defined set, we use the structural induction. In the structural induction, we complete again two steps which involve the mathematical induction steps, which are equivalent to mathematical induction. Basis step, in this we show that the result holds for all elements specified in the basis step of the recursion. Recursive step, we show that if the statement is true for each of the elements used to construct new elements in the recursive step of the definition, the result holds for the new elements also, right? The validity of the structural induction can be shown to follow from the principle of the mathematical induction, right? Now let us consider the example of full binary tree, and using structural induction, let us prove a result. Suppose the height ht of a full binary tree is defined recursively as the height of the full binary tree consisting of only a root r, so height is 0, and the recursive rule is if t1, t2 are the full binary trees, then the full binary tree t is t1 dot t2 has the height h of t equal to 1 plus maximum of h of t1 in h of t1 dot h of t1 comma h of t2, right? So this is how the full binary trees are defined recursively. The height of the full binary trees defined recursively. Similarly, the number of vertices of a full binary tree can also be defined recursively. Using the basis step, the number of vertices n of t equal to 1 because only a root is there. In the recursive step, the rule is if t1, t2 are the full binary trees, then the full binary tree t equal to t1 dot t2 it has the number of vertices n of t equal to 1 plus n of t1 plus n of t2. Based on these recursive definitions of the height and number of height of the full binary tree and number of vertices in the full binary tree, we can now prove a result based on using structural induction. If T is a full binary tree, then n of t is less than or equal to 2 power h of t plus 1 minus 1. Right? We are proving this using structural induction. According to the structural induction, the basis step involved the result to be holding. We have to prove that the result holds true for a full binary tree consisting only of a root. From the recursive definition of n of t, we have n of t equal to 1 and h of t equal to 0. Hence, n of t equal to 1 less than or equal to 2 power 0 plus 1 minus 1 is equal to 1, and the basis step of the recursive definition of n of t is satisfied. Now the recursive step. Assume that n of t1 is less than or equal to 2 power h of t1 plus 1 minus 1, and also n of t2 less than or equal to 2 power h of t2 plus 1 minus 1 whenever t1 t2 are the full binary trees. Now let us consider n of t. According to the recursive definition of n of t, it is equal to 1 plus n of t1 plus n of t2, which is less than or equal to 1 plus, again according to definitions of n of t1 and n of t2, and by the inductive hypothesis, it is 2 power h of t1 plus 1 minus 1 plus 2 power h of t2 plus 1 minus 1. By the recursive definition of the heights of the full binary trees is less than or equal to 2 into maximum of 2 power h of t1 plus 1 comma 2 power h of t2 plus 1 minus 1. 2 power h of t1 plus 1 comma 2 power h of t2 plus 1 minus 1. So simplifying this accordingly and following the recursive definitions of n of t and h of t and using mathematical induction successively, we can arrive at n of t is less than or equal to 2 power h of t plus 1 minus 1. Okay. Now let us see the generalized induction, which is used to prove the results about sets other than the integers that have the well ordering property. Right? For example, consider an ordering on n cross n, the ordered pair of non-negative integers. In the basis step, specify that the ordered pair x1 y1 is less than or equal to the ordered pair x2 y2 if either x1 less than x2 or x1 equal to x2 and y1 less than y2. This is called lexicographic ordering. The strings can also commonly ordered by a lexicographic ordering. The next example uses the generalized induction to prove the result about ordered pairs from n cross n. Suppose that m comma n is defined for m comma n. The ordered pair belongs to n cross n by a 0 0 equal to 0 and a m comma n equal to a m minus 1 comma n plus 1 if n equal to 0 and m greater than 0. And if n greater than 0, it is a m comma n minus 1 plus n. Show that a mn is m plus n of n plus 1 by 2 is defined for all mn belongs to n cross n. Using generalized induction in the basis step, we have a 0 0 equal to 0, which is 0 plus 0 into 1 by 2. And in the inductive step, we assume that a of m comma n is m dash comma n dash equal to m dash plus n dash of n dash plus 1 by 2. Whenever m dash comma n dash is less than m comma n in the lexicographic ordering of n cross n. If n is 0 by the inductive hypothesis, we can conclude a mn is equal to m plus n of n plus 1 by 2. If n is greater than 0 by the inductive hypothesis, we can conclude a mn equal to a m comma n minus 1 plus n equal to m plus n into n minus 1 by 2 plus n by 2 plus n equal to m plus n into n plus 1 by 2. Right? This is the end of the lecture. Thank you all.